Thank you very much, the session chair and the enlightened audience. I would request the hospitality staff to just manage something on the podium because I'm seeing some stuff in not getting presented. May I have somebody from the AV staff to just help me out? Yeah, I don't know where the presentation is.
Oh, can someone please know the presentation?
Yeah, okay, I could. Thank you. I'll manage, Mana, thank you.
See, you're so effective. No? You're just
Yep.
podium and find it.
Good. Yeah, so we've heard about the opening few statements by the chair for this session, and as we all know that security is about bringing something which is there in the subconscious mind, to analyze and assess the risk, and then bringing it to the conscious mind so that we can understand that what we are supposed to mitigate and what we are carrying as a risk depending upon our cost and the budgets and so many other things. Now, what we are going to talk about is the right balance, which is the reason why the word optimization has been chosen. Because there is no definition. Security is like a requirement which never ends. So you keep on adding and adding and adding as many layers as you feel, because there is a mix of certain realizable risk which we have seen in the past in the retrospect, and there's some risk which we just believe that it might happen or might not happen. So we have to be prepared for the unknown risk which we are carrying. So the most important thing which comes is that what is that we need to do to make the investments as well as decisions on deploying the security to be optimal from two perspectives. One is the cost and another is the user experience. Now, I understand when at the 6 a.m. in the morning I have to take a flight from Bangalore to Delhi, there is a chaos at the airport. Not just because there is an issue, but there are so many flights, but the infrastructure of security that is managing that what should be allowed inside is not that extensive. So we have to see as to what exactly we are trying to protect and how much protection we are supposed to give is the reason why I have put in this first slide. All is this governed by, in the current scenario of technology, the proliferation of what we are seeing on the podium now. So you can see that there is a proliferation of collaborative applications, there is a proliferation of P2P applications, there is a proliferation of gadgets, right from tablets to iPhones to different kinds of micro books and the notebooks and the netbooks. The word never ends. There's something new comes every year as to being incorporated into the security framework of the computing. So when this is the scenario, and these are the applications which we are seeing on the dais screen proliferating, we need to be evolving in understanding that yes, there is a risk which is being hovering around these applications. And I like to take a very simple personal example. A few years back, I would say about 1.5 decades back, I got a phone at my house, and that was a rotor dialer phone. And all of us, in this generation must have seen, and now the current generation doesn't have the opportunity to see a rotor dialer phone. And one of my aunt came from a very remote village of Punjab, and first time she got a call on that phone, and she used the phone in an opposite direction. So she was having a mouthpiece in her ear, and she was having an earphone on the mouth. So that's how she listened the call. And she was asking my name, and then she said, "Ede chata awaaz hi nahi aa rahi," which means, she's not able to hear, is what she said in my native language. So this is the experience which I have at about 1.5 decade back. Then last year when I was traveling to her town, I saw that when I reached her home, and she was chit-chatting with my cousins on the Skype, sitting in front of the mic, and there is a very high-end broadband connection from BSNL, which is working fine, and she's chit-chatting with a headphone on the top of it. So this is the technology diversification which has reached to the roots of the individual people. But when that's where the proliferation goes, are such kind of workforce, are such kind of citizens or the netizens of our country feeling the risk which they are carrying because of they being the soft targets. And this is being understood by some survey which Checkpoint has done with our enterprise customers, and then I'll go to the non-enterprise customers to get you the actual perspective. When we did a survey along with a third party called Ponemon with the top 2,000 companies, 44% of the respondents felt that they have been a victim of a SQL injection. About 35% of them, they felt that they have been a victim of APT. You know, it's a big jargon. I will demystify that. It's called as advanced persistent threat. The threat which is unlike virus. Virus is given an intelligence, and that intelligence ends with either crashing a floppy drive or crashing a hard disk or giving a blue screen on the machine, or just compromising the memory leaks and so many things. This is the end journey and the objective of the virus. But advanced persistent threat doesn't have that objective. Advanced persistent threat says that I will compromise this machine, but I will not kill this machine. Why? Because I will have to use this machine as a soldier to kill somebody else. So that's the objective of current generation advanced persistent threats. And when they start moving with each other, they are called as botnets. So if you see the fourth circle on the extreme right when you are facing the screen is called as botnet. I'll come to the third one later. So therefore, there are organizations who are having a victim or who have been a victim of advanced persistent threats and who have been the victim of botnets. When my own computing base is used to kill my own resources like my portals, like my e-governance applications, framework, etc., then I can be considered that I am a victim of advanced persistent threat because it was targeted to my organization. But when my computing base, which means my employees, my users who are using laptops, computers of my organization, and they have been a victim of becoming the army of somebody who's sitting outside the network, and this army is used to compromise somebody third party, which could be inside my country, inside my organization, or outside. So then this becomes a botnet community. So therefore, these are the two different kinds of threats, and we can have some more discussions tomorrow on this. And last but not the least, we all know that when the setup is on the denial of service, when the users want to book a ticket at 8 a.m. in the morning using IRCTC website, and I have to leave for my hometown on Diwali, and the ticket is not getting booked because I am getting a repetitive error of not being able to conclude the transaction, I feel very bad. So that's what exactly is the experience by the virtue of DDoS. Now connecting it to now that was an enterprise analysis. Now I connect it to the very common people analysis as well, because we have to handle both as an enterprise and also our citizens who just interact with these applications. So this is a survey which has been picked up, which says that in the current times, the malware or the injections which are basically used to kill the IT infrastructure, they are 3 times more on the holy sites than they have been seen on the porn sites. This is the understanding, which means people know that there is a proliferation of the community which is moving and watching more and more on the internet. So how can they use and get the soft targets to become their victims? 20% of the blogs have seen the infections in 2011. And in 2011, the average growth in the malware has been predicted around 81% between year 2010 to year 2011. And I'm sure that very soon, in the next couple of months, year 2012 statistics will be also out. And what we are predicting it to be around 78 to 80% again. So that's what exactly is the scenario. So as an evangelist, it's my job to make sure that, yes, when we are communicating the message, this is what we understand as a community. Attackers may find it easier to get through the infrastructure, not by compromising your data center or perimeter, but by using all these soft targets who have been collaborating with our applications by the virtue of smartphones, by the virtue of gadgets, or any other form factors which we see as the endpoint of communication. So what should I do as a next? So let's not be in despair. Let's not feel that yes, it's a gloomy picture. But the idea of putting all these slides is to make you aware. It's always good to know that what's the kind of risk we are carrying. So what we should be doing next, we should be actually breaking down the understanding of current problem in two different ways. When we go to a doctor, there is one which is called as a clinical opinion, and there is another thing which is called as a diagnostic opinion, which comes with the radiologist or so forth and so forth. So what I am going to show first is a clinical view, the view which is shown from the surface. From the surface, to understand an attack, let's break down this attack into three different formats. And understand that the step one of the current generation attack is to find the soft targets. Two, once these targets are identified, what should be done next is to kill them. Is to get a control of them. Sorry, not to kill them, get the control of them. And then become and make them the army of a black hat guy. And the last step in this entire process is to use these soldiers to compromise somebody else. I'll give you a very simple example. If 500 people in the morning decide that they have to book a Tatkal ticket, we all can understand that they may not have a legitimate objective, but they decide just to hog the resources. So this is the kind of a collateral workforce which works together as the computing base available on the net, and the hacker does not need to invest into his own CPU, his own memory, to be so diverse to attack somebody which can be 50,000 requests in a minute, or maybe 1 lakh requests in an hour, so on and so forth. So this is the clinical view of identifying a current threat. And how it starts, if we have to break it down, the first step to identify the problem is to do a phishing. We have been seeing that we have been getting messages on our mobile phones or in the mails that you have won 75,000 pounds, please call on this number. Correct? Something similar messages comes to us. So that's called as spamming. That's called as spear phishing. That once you click on something wrongly by mistake, you are being taken to something which is inviting you to be a victim of a problem. And that's what is called as the first step of the issue. And then once somebody reaches there, in the technological terms, it is called as a drive-by download issue. So your browser downloads something which is not right, which is not wise for the computing. And in the content, you might find some injection being done there to infect your machines as the host infection. Then the objective of that first infection is to guide the second infection to come to your machines. So it acts as a guide to the next step. And that's what is called as connecting to the command and control, which is standing outside. He is a commander. The first infection has led to establish a connection with that guy. And that guy now takes this machine to the next step. And that step is called as making this host totally undetectable. And the technology word for that is FUD, fully undetectable. So if you Google FUD, this is what you get as an answer. Fully undetectable. So now the black hat guy who's sitting outside, or an attacker, he has made this machine to have the second level of infection, which is undetectable by a local antivirus or any other security tool which you would have employed or deployed on this machine. Next comes the final target. The mission is to get the data out, and that's what has happened with Lockheed Martin or with Sony last year. Or to launch an attack in the nuclear power plant. That's what has happened to Iranian nuclear power plant in late 2010. But the entire journey starts with the first and second step of the attack. And we all know that today, all our lives depend upon the IT. Not just because that I have to do the e-governance, but each form factor, if we see, right from morning at 6 a.m. when we wake up till we sleep, right from the supply of water which comes to give me a water, for drinking or for doing a brushing, and to the electricity, to the mobile phone, and to the availability of transportation, everything comes with the virtue or by the virtue of computing today. So all this is very important. So what an enterprise and organization should do to prevent themselves. Now, when a doctor has to take a treatment, he has to then take a diagnostic opinion of the issue. And this is the diagnostic opinion now coming from the attack's perspective. This is a diagnostic view that the attack is not just the 3-step. as clinically being examined, but technologically being examined, it is 5-step problem. It starts technologically with doing a reconnaissance. Then the second step technically means it will do a exploiting of the weakness. And the third step is connecting to the command and control. And the fourth step is now sit very, very silently. And that's what is technically also called as pivoting. And there is another version of pivoting or another step of pivoting, and that's a spread the infection laterally. Make more similar hosts in my own lateral network. And last but not the least is the actual lethal attack. That is either in the form of distributed denial of service or compromising some host or making some other version of the attack which can even not be thought of today. So this is the 5-step technical process which has to be taken by any threat vector to achieve his end objective. So if you see, it's an inverted pyramid shown on the screen. And the objective of this is that if we have to compromise one single machine that was communicating to a Siemens centrifugation machine to do a nuclear transportation from a raw material to the machine which was required for moderators to do a nuclear generation of the power, there is only one machine which was communicating with that Siemens machine from a computing or a IP world's perspective. How to infect that machine sitting in the nuclear power plant was the objective of the Western world when they were targeting Iranian nuclear program. So what they did, they had to infect so many millions of USB drives, and that's what is called as reconnaissance. Then after reconnaissance, they have to compromise those reconnaissance resources. Everybody who has been reconnaissed doesn't mean he's available as a weakness. So weakness will be available with some less number of people who have been reconnaissed. Then the exploitation will happen with further lesser number of the people who have been seen as a weakness. Then after the exploitation, lesser number of people will be able to communicate with the command and control. And that's how this pyramid is shrinking. But as it shrinks, it becomes more tougher for the enterprise to handle this. So what we should be doing? We have to have a multi-spectrum strategy to handle this. We have to start working right from the pre-infection. By putting an IPS firewall and so other controls doesn't mean that let's enjoy our autopilot state now. We have to have a very strong detection mechanism. So therefore it is very important that our tools, which thus far are meant for prevention, should also give a very valid detection. They should give us time to react. Then if we see that we have been infected, we have some traces of issue, then we should be able to kill that issue, which is malware or a bot. Last but not the least, we still will see one incident that may try to leak the data out or may try to do a DDoS. So then we have to prevent that layer as well. So how it starts technically, you have to have the very basic layers. That is intrusion, prevention, anti-malware, anti-spam and anti-bot to take care of pre-infection stage. But let us not believe that we are in autopilot after having deployed these tools. What we need, we also need a tool which will avoid our users to go to malware-centric sites. So despite having those threat prevention tools, we should also have the URL filtering on an applications control tools, because that sometimes gets ignored in the threat prevention strategy. Whereas it is very, very important to even consider this, because most threats always take somebody to some malware site to download that malware. And that's how I have to prevent even that. So URL filtering today and application control doesn't mean that we have to have employee control to not to go them this side, that side. That's not the current objective. It is equally participative in preventing the threat. Then it has to be enhanced with the final and the very important technology called as a dashboard. So you should be able to see a dashboard of risk. The visibility is equally important, and that's what I mean by detection. Your users or the operations team should not feel that now I have a firewall, I have an IPS, I have a DDoS protector, I should be very safe. It doesn't mean like that. You have to have a very, very strong and intuitive dashboards. Last but not the least, preventing the data. So for data prevention, you need to have the data leak prevention tools. You need to have other components called as preventing the DDoS by network flood, server flood, for application attacks and low and slow attacks. So this is the two last stages of the attack, that's data leak or doing a DDoS. So we need to have the appropriate prevention controls in this space. Now this is the only product slide from Checkpoint. To handle all this, we have all form factors of appliances. Starting from a data center or a small office, which is catering to 5 users, 10 users, 20 users, your kiosk only, to your district offices, to block division offices, or to your state data centers or any other larger formats of data. We have devices today to take care of all these needs. And they are the most, in the industry, for this space of security, they are the most efficient as far as the energy is concerned. So the power requirements and heating output is minimal as far as any other equivalent solutions concerned. So I come to the summary of my wrap-up of this session. So this is what we have understood. The first stage of attack is recon, that is reconnaissance. So there are two tools which have to be there, that is firewall and IPS, to prevent this stage, as well as to detect this stage. Intrusion and both the access has to be prevented in the inward direction of your network. Then to prevent the exploitation from happening in your network, you also have to have an IPS tuned to handle the exploitations, and you need to have the URL filtering and anti-spam tools to handle that the weaknesses in your network should not get compromised. Then you have to see command and control communication and pivoting is a very complex dual stage of the attack. It needs to be prevented by 3 different components, that is anti-bot, Web 2.0 controls, because our current day applications like Facebook, Twitter, they are very, very intelligent. They are not simple URL. They cannot be prevented and detected so easily. So you need to have awareness in the Web 2.0 world. And last but not the least, you have to have zero-day malware prevention, which is morphing malware handling and so many other things. Final stage of the attack was a lethal attack. And for this, you need to have a DLP, which prevents the egress, that is data going out of your organization, and a DDoS protector to get into the network. So this brings me to the very important understanding, and I would like to share with you that the situation always puts us into the question where to start and what to do and what to analyze. For that, we have a very interesting free of cost tool available to you. You can always register on indiasales@checkpoint.com, or you can give a mail to me, ramandeep@checkpoint.com, or we can be having any networking session discussions to register yourself. So whatever you have seen in the 5 stages of attack, if it is actually happening in your network, despite having all the security controls, we will do that, and the detection can start at any time, and you can get a first view of that within a couple of hours of having deployed that. It is absolutely non-intrusive. You don't need to re-engineer your traffic flow. It will come absolutely out of your flow of the data, so no applications will come we will not put anything which will come in the path of your application delay. You can put it in your data center, you can put it into your aggregation points, or anywhere where you feel that it will give you a visibility. If you want a report, we can always share that report with you. We are carrying some hard copies of that. We have not just given to everybody. Anybody who is interested in that, just please contact us. We are going to be there. I am there. Then we have 3 of my colleagues from Checkpoint, and we have our government and distributor partner Presto here. So there are 2 very senior people from their organization here. So you can touch base with any 6 of us during the networking sessions. Thank you.